So this log is just gonna be raw, without any sound effects, because the technocrats, the multinational companies that own YouTube, they have a deal with the whole system, and they check everything that's uploaded to see if it's copyrighted by somebody else, and then you cannot have it on YouTube, right? Because right now, human knowledge does not belong to the world. It belongs to the elite. And every time you wish to expand your mind, you have to pay your dues, right? To the demons at the top. To get to see your knowledge, to get to taste the wisdom, right? You have to pay the coin. And YouTube has this grand machine, this server somewhere that looks through the entire thing that you upload, and then decides what it resembles, right? Ooh, somebody else has the rights, the intellectual rights for this, so you cannot upload this, right? Yeah. So, it's just gonna be me, guys, but that's the point anyway, isn't it? So, I'm very frustrated. I'm very, very frustrated, because I want to be in space right now. And I want to leave all these evil people behind, I want to leave them here to rot in their own prison, but I don't want to leave you guys behind. I want all people to succeed, but I have my doubts, like, if we're even capable of that. How can we continue to submit to this evil, If we were worth saving, why are we submitting to evil? Maybe we're like a baby nation, like a baby civilization. And we think, like, why don't the aliens contact us? Why don't they just land in some public place and go out and say, hi, we're the aliens. And now we're gonna share our technology, and you're gonna show us your stuff, and we'll show you our stuff. And we'll have a bake-off, Who can bake the greatest cake. And we'll play some songs, and have a big party. With aliens. But I personally think that they are kind of apprehensive, They are hesitating for a good reason, because we are being controlled by demons. Fucking reptilians. Why do we have this reptilian brain? It's the same why we call humans and not just man. Because Hugh means serpent, yeah. That's nice to know. The serpent man. Ah, fuck. I just wish that we can survive this hell. This fucking hell we're going through right now with the riots. All the riots and all the people crying and bleeding and fighting the police, and all these policemen in their black uniforms walking through the street threatening their own parents, The parents and their kids and their brothers and their sisters are protesting. The police, these people, these kindred. They put on black uniforms, rubber and steel, and then they shoot us and fuck us over, arrest us and torture us. And why are people so unable to see that we're all one? If you do something to another person, you're doing it to yourself. It's very simple. It's karma. We're one organism, and if you kill the cell next to you, then your body dies, because you're a part of the body. You're a part of the whole. And the evil fuckers at the top, they have taught us that we are not one. That we are 7 billion individual lunatics running around trying to get ahead, right? Get on top. Advance. Yeah. You need to be the vice president, right? And then you need to form some kind of plot so you can topple the president, right? And you can be the one. And they got us playing this fucking game, guys. Because we've always been playing it. And we don't have any idea what else to do. We don't have to play this game. But what are we gonna do when we're on this starship? Let's say that we make it off the planet and we're on the starship and it's quite big, you know. There's like 1,000 people and it's got everything. It's got gardens and all the different functions that humans can do. I don't want to say jobs, but you know, all the different things that comprise the human civilization are on there. With room to grow, with room for guests, with spare parts and spare food and everything we would need to have a comfortable, delicious life among the stars. We're on the spaceship. Where will we go? You are now the captain and you are on the spaceship. And where are you going? Where are you gonna go? I guess I would start attacking our own planet. I would beam up the unmentionable one and interrogate him and see what happened if I put a samurai sword up his ass. I want to see if he can still read the teleprompter with a samurai sword in his ass. And then film it and put it on YouTube so everybody can see it. And do that with the rest of the gang, you know. The Illuminati and all the bankers and the top families and all those people we've been talking about. Just beam them off the planet, you know, beam them into nothingness. Find every single one, like every psycho out there. Every high-ranking psycho out there. And then we're gonna take all the paperwork, you know, all the documents that explains who owns what, and we're gonna beam that off the planet. And we're gonna take all the weapons. We're gonna find every single firearm on the planet and beam it into storage. Because at some point you might want them back. But right now it's only a hindrance. And then we'll take all the dangerous nuclear waste and nuclear material that we can't handle anyway. Beam that off the planet. Turn it into energy. you know, transporter replicators, turn that stuff into energy. And then I need to strip everything down first, so you guys can start building. You know, all the criminals, all the rapists, and all the insane murderers and everybody. I don't know if they can be reformed, or at least we're gonna isolate them somewhere. And all the lawyers and the bankers and the politicians and like all the people who have some kind of position where they uphold the law as it is right now. We're gonna take those people and put them in the same place. And then they can all play hide and seek in there with the psychos that they created. We can have ourselves a little reality TV show, you know. The Hunger Games. With all the little psychos running around chasing the Rothschilds in there. And the presidents running for their lives. Live from the Hunger Games. We're gonna get rid of the stock markets. And all the bank statements and all the things that have to do with that system is just gonna disappear. We're gonna take all the factories that produce fucked up shit and remove that stuff. Dismantle it. You know, we're gonna need some of the materials. Then clean up all this shit, you know, all the pollution. Clean that stuff up. You know, all that pollution that's basically just chemicals, and lots of it can just be turned into things that we need. So instead of being pollution, we can like turn it into what it was to begin with, before it became pollution. And then use that again, and then we're gonna release the minks, right? All the animals in cages everywhere, all the people in cages everywhere, all the prisoners, all the slaves. Just beam away their chains, beam away their cages. Humanity can build with that metal that used to be restraints. Humanity can build with that instead. Build our future. And then we're gonna have to have like a set of rules, you know. And the first rule is gonna be human knowledge belongs to the world. Maybe it has to be more like intergalactic. We can say all knowledge is free. So if we get some knowledge from other races, or we meet some other races, they're free to have our knowledge. And we can have their knowledge, because they would have to have the same ideology as us to make it into space. You see how that all fits together. Because just as we are one entity on Earth, we are also part of a greater entity as the universe. And the big giant consciousness that is God. Every single living being on the planet is a little part of the great consciousness that is chosen to have an experience, you know. So some alien somewhere in another galaxy is part of the same consciousness. We have to remember that. So knowledge is free, which means that you cannot sell or protect knowledge. Or you cannot patent stuff. All patents will be released to everybody. All inventions and all stuff that we've ever thought of will be released to everybody at the same time. So in these communities that we're gonna build, you're gonna have like anti-gravity devices. You're gonna have engines that run on water. You're gonna have there's like machines that can create electricity out of nothing. Like you have the Rife machine that can cure cancer. And Tesla had some crazy stuff that we need. There's some sick stuff going on, and you know, all the elite, they have technology that's like 40-50 years in the future, and we're gonna release that to everybody. So you're gonna have quite a bit of fun stuff, you know, to build with. It's not gonna be boring. So we're gonna patch up the land, you know. We're gonna have to patch up the land and figure out where we want to settle, you know. If every single person on the earth got like a farm-sized piece of land, we could all live in Australia. Isn't that crazy? We would just fit on Australia, everybody, with their own farm. So you can see that there's a lot of land out there. The reason we think there's not enough is because we're squeezing together in the cities like crazy people in skyscrapers. So if we're gonna make like rules, then we cannot make any rules that denies you to do something. Because that was the problem with the 10 Commandments, you know? That it was denials. It was 10 denials. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. If we're gonna have any guidelines, it should be stuff that we should strive to do. Like, all knowledge is free. But how do we do it with the materials? That's a tough one, huh? Because, you know, knowledge is not material. It's like, once you see it, once you hear it, then it becomes part of you. And is stored within your neural network. Which means that it's not actually matter. It is information, it is ideas. It's a pattern in a brain. But once you get to matter, you know, you can't have a rule that says that the earth has to be divided in 7 billion equal parts. Because what happens when a baby is born? You could say that each person was allowed a section of the earth corresponding to the percentage that he or she represented in the population. But you know, we don't really want people to claim stuff and hoard stuff and lock stuff in their basement and put fences around their stuff. But then again, I don't want to say that it belongs to the human race, because then we become like the thing, like the king of the galaxy, you know. Just like the king of the hill. And then it's our stuff, and then nobody else can have our stuff, and that's not gonna work either. Maybe the second rule could be share the abundance with love. Lovingly share the abundance. Haha. All knowledge is free, and lovingly share the abundance. I like that. Like, what can go wrong with that, you know? There's a long way from lovingly share the abundance to somebody killing each other or suing each other or putting each other in little prisons and behind contracts and inside little boxes. All knowledge is free. Lovingly share the abundance. I thought we might have kind of like an arbiter. Been thinking about a lot about that concept. An arbiter, somebody who mediates. And in each of these communities, you know, we're gonna spread out all over the planet. We're gonna distribute all the wood and the metal and all the solar panels and all the materials and goods and bricks and seeds and plants and food and electrical devices and computers and everything. We're gonna distribute that. And we're gonna take the cars, and then we're gonna pull out the gasoline engines, and then we're gonna put some of those new brilliant engines inside the cars. And then we're gonna park like 10 or 20 cars outside each village. And they're gonna be hooked up to the solar power grid, so maybe we'll have windmills as well and geothermal power and whatever. And whenever we are not using that, like at night time and stuff, the car engines will be sucking up all that energy and be like batteries. That's what's gonna happen to the cars. So you're just gonna grab one of these cars, right? And you're gonna drive around, and then you're gonna park it somewhere else where there's a charger for it. And then somebody else is gonna come along and take that car and drive it somewhere else. And then someone from another place is gonna come in their car and park it where the other car used to be. And it's gonna be... It's all gonna work out, you know. It's gonna be shared cars. Because one of the worst things in our society right now is when you go out on the street and you just see thousands of parked cars, right? And you cannot have any of them. They're all locked with their own little lock that has its own little unique key. Because they all belong to somebody. Somebody's special privilege to have that car. Because they worked for it or inherited a lot of money or whatever. But God forbid that we shared those cars, right? But that's not how it's gonna be, guys. In our society, it's just gonna be free. Because, whoa, what do you need a car for? For 24/7, you only need it when you drive around, and when you're done, somebody else can use it. So that's how that's gonna work. And then when you need to go somewhere, you go outside the town. We're gonna have some kind of road network. We're gonna have some kind of mass transportation, public transportation, rails, I guess. Or maybe find some other crazy solutions. Well, there's a lot of roads, and we might keep some of that stuff and drive around in our efficient cars, you know. So we're gonna take the best cars and the most beautiful cars and convert them. And the rest is gonna be stripped down, I guess. So all that garbage, you know, all the garbage everywhere in garbage land. And all the cars that are rusting in some junkyard. I'm gonna take all that and melt it down. You know, we're not gonna have any more people living in garbage land. That's not that's not a great commercial for planet Earth and the human race, you know. Little kids running around in garbage. That's why the aliens haven't come to us yet. They're exerting the Prime Directive, you know. The Prime Directive says that you should not interfere with a race that has not developed the ability to travel in space yet. And not just travel in space, but the ability to travel faster than light, or to travel in other ways than conventional chemical reactions. Because right now, what can we travel, like 30,000, 40,000 kilometers an hour? 50, 60 maybe? And that's fast, but it's not fast enough, guys. You can get to Mars in a couple of years and stuff. He's not gonna go to the other stars, and that's the key. You know, that's the keyhole. Once a civilization gets that technology to go to the other stars, that is the point where some other intelligent race will make first contact and say hi. Welcome to the neighborhood. And right now I think there's a lot of races who don't want to be public on Earth because we're just like a trash can, you know. We are like an unruly teenager. Just mess everything up. And we don't want to clean our room, and we don't want to go to school, and we just want to go party and drink and get wasted. That's what the human race are doing right now. So they don't really want us in the intergalactic council, you know, because we're too fucked up. We're not old enough. We're not disciplined enough. We're reckless. We're young. I look forward to that moment, you know, when they just come forward and we can talk to them. I really want to talk to the Pleiadians. But you know, they're already here, guys. Been here for a long time. They know about this planet. We've been talking about this thing about age, and we think most people think that like we are the center of everything, and all other things in the universe are calculated depending on where the human race is right now. And there couldn't possibly be any aliens because we're not old enough and advanced enough to detect them or talk to them. We were looking out of our own navel, you know. We're not the center of anything. We are just like a speck in the giant ocean that is the universe, and all the other races and civilizations out there, they've been alive for thousands and millions and billions of years. They have had so many adventures already. They have had so many encounters and stories in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago, you know. History has been going on for 13.7 billion years, and it's still going on. And we're just like the new kid on the block somewhere far out in the fringes. And we're not the thing. Like, we're just a player in the game, but the game is huge, and the game is old. So you have to, instead of looking out from Earth, looking out onto the stars, Try and put yourself at the center of the universe where the Big Bang happened. And look around and see that everything has been traveling away from you for 13.7 billion years at the speed of light. In all directions. And every possible thing you can dream up in your little mind has already happened somewhere in the universe. Like all the stories, all the science fiction you've ever seen, that has actually happened. Because the universe is so big, it is so big that all random occurrences has already happened. You know, not every single thing, because the universe is finite. It's not eternal, it's not infinite, but it is so big that something like all the fantasies and all the movies and all the stories we've had, something like that has already happened and are still happening as we speak. There are so many civilizations and races right now out there in all the galaxies and in our own galaxy, traveling around, having crazy adventures, thinking they are the center of the universe. You have to zoom out, guys. Zoom out. See the big picture. But I thought we might have this kind of a position called an arbiter. And that would be a person who are a role model, you know. They will do all the things that they will not really do anything else than all the rest of the people, but they will be examples of the idea. You know. When you're at the food court and you just had a meal, they will go over and start the dishes. You know, maybe we have some kind of automated thing to do the dishes, but they will, you know, fill it up, initiate it. They will see where improvement is needed and initiate it. Lead by example, you know. And then others will follow. And what kind of ideals should they uphold, you know? I don't know if they really need more than the first two. Because everything else is derived from that. All knowledge is free. Lovingly share the abundance. But you know, there will be decisions. There will be a decision about how should the forum look. Like with the forum, you should definitely have some kind of microphone in the middle. Some place where you can speak to everybody, and some kind of, so you can gather and sit and talk, and like kind of like a council kind of a thing, so everybody can voice their opinion. And how we actually decide what color to paint in the Tinkerer department. Like, should the walls be blue, or I guess that the walls should be covered in all kinds of stuff. Paintings and drawings and blueprints, and there should be room enough for everybody to express themselves. I don't think we have to paint anything a certain color, because it has to be varied, you know. It has to be uneven. We cannot create false symbols, you know, false gods. Like, yeah, we create this whole new thing, and then we create some kind of symbol and stamp that everywhere. No, I don't want to have a symbol. We're just the human race, and we're so diverse that you cannot put a symbol on us. But the Arbiter is gonna be a mediator, so whenever there's kind of like a dispute about something, they will make the right decision. People will trust arbiters. And how do you become an arbiter? I guess you have to share the same ideals, and you would have to be kind of initiated by the other arbiters. Either you apply out of interest, or you're picked up, singled out. You know, there's going to be no privileges for an arbiter. Nothing at all. But it's going to be, they might have kind of like, I don't know, some kind of stripe or something on, you know, a football team had the captain has kind of like a band around his arm or something so you can see who is an arbiter. Whenever there's some kind of dispute, challenge, then people will look to the arbiters to present the idea of what we're trying to do. And the goal would actually be that everybody becomes arbiters, so that everybody share the same ideals, that there's room for everybody, that there's enough for everyone, that all people can express themselves in their own unique way, and there's abundance for that. You know, all houses that we build are gonna be shared by everyone. But if you put like a special dedication into a building somewhere, and you like that place, then you stay there. And that's kind of like becomes your place. And if you move to another city, then that place opens up and somebody else moves in. But there's not gonna be like a big waiting list on who gets to live there, because there's gonna be so many other buildings. There's gonna be an excess of buildings. If you travel there from another place, you can stay in one of the buildings because there's enough. You're gonna move around, and maybe you want to live over there for a little bit, or switch and live over there. You're not gonna have all that silly stuff that we drag around, you know. When I look around, I have all these crazy things like computer games, like discs. All that's gonna be centralized and made free for everybody. Guess we're gonna have some hard copies, but you don't need to have your own copies of all the digital information. It's gonna be in all the science departments, like all the books. We're not gonna throw those away, but they belong in the library, right? It belongs in a museum. I guess you're gonna have your favorite books, but mostly people have books because they hope at some point in their life they're gonna be able to give it to somebody else who can like enjoy those books, you know. And if you have a really good book, you enjoy having read that, then you want to put it in the library, right, where everybody can come and read it. And maybe you can sit in the library with this book, and somebody comes in there and you give them this book and say, I can see this book, it's for you. You sit down and they read this book because they've had a course in speed reading. They're highly intelligent and they're really fast. They have a bright mind and they just swallow this book right in an afternoon. And then you can have a discussion about it while you make apple pie. Like TVs, we're not gonna have like traditional TV screens. We're gonna have some kind of holographic stuff, or some kind of projector stuff. Maybe those cells you can paint on the wall. that act as TV. There's many different substitutes, but I don't believe we're gonna have like classic TVs. Well, what are we gonna do for clothes, you know? Where are you gonna have your clothes? Who's gonna wash the clothes? The laundromat, right? We're all gonna have a washing machine, or is there gonna be a laundromat? I think we're gonna have kind of a united place, maybe like kind of like a bathhouse where we go in between all the sections. Gonna have a lot of toilets as well. A personal, as Isaac Asimov would say, a personal. It's gonna be like quite unique bathrooms, you know. People spend a lot of time there, and they have to be nice bathhouses. I like that idea. Public swimming pools, but also like private sections. It's gonna be enough room to play around with different designs. And then there's paintings and artwork and stuff. And you know what to do about the Mona Lisa? Huh? Maybe she should just stay where she is. Like, I don't want to tear down on any of the old buildings. Because we need history, you know. We need our past. We need to see our past. Not to say that we have to repeat history, but we definitely need to see where all the ancient elite stayed and what our ancestors built. So the cities are gonna have like a third of the people they have now. There's gonna be tons of space in there. And abundance. But let's let the Mona Lisa hang for now. What about the football teams? The Patriots. I guess we'll keep the stadiums. But you know, there's not going to be any need for you to drive around all the time. You know, that's why people drive everywhere all the time, because they have to be somewhere else. They have to go to work. They have to go to pick up their kid. Then they have to go to the supermarket, and then they have to drive home again. And they have to drive to the sports thing, and then they have to drive home again. And it's all this like so much driving around to. First of all, you're not gonna go to a job anymore, right? And your kid is gonna stay with you. All the kids are just gonna be running around, having a great time, learning from the adults, you know, from the grown-ups. So you're in this community, and some kids are gonna be in the science department, some in the chemistry department, some in the hospital, some in the library, some in the food courts, and tending to all the plants and learning from the goldsmiths and sitting on the knee in the shop and just watching a pair of shoes being made and laughing and giggling and trying to do it themselves and sitting and drawing, playing games. They're gonna be all over. They're gonna be little copies of us, learning at an incredible speed because they were so healthy. They've never had a single toxin inside their body. They only had delicious medicine, all the vitamins and acai berry and all the crazy heirloom superfoods that we can find. These kids are gonna be like learning machines, you know. We're gonna teach them empathy from a very young age. And that's gonna be like the core quality of an arbiter. That's gonna be empathy, Because that is the one thing that all the evil people in this world are lacking. That is empathy. They don't have it, guys. They don't have empathy. That's how you can fuck over so many people for such a long time, as the elite has done. That's when you don't have any empathy. They don't care, guys. They don't care what happens inside you. They also fear you and hate you, but they are unable to understand what happens inside you. And that's why they can be so cruel. And that in turn is why you are unable to dethrone them or topple them, is because you wouldn't want to hurt anybody, because you have empathy. So it's like a double-edged sword. You know, in movies when the hero when the hero, he has to, or she has to fight the bad guy, right? And the bad guy has 1,000 minions, like unimportant foot soldiers, right? And the hero just plows through all these foot soldiers like no problem, right? Killing hundreds maybe. Trashing them in very visually beautiful ways, with guns and swords and martial arts and whatever. So all the foot soldiers, all the minions are dead, right? And then they get to the boss fight. Then they finally get to the evil guy, to the bad guy. And then they suddenly grow conscious, right? Like right when they have the bad guy on his knees, then they say, no, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm not gonna be like you. And turn around, Buster, and just take a look at this sea of dead people you just came through. All the foot soldiers, they're not that evil, they're just misguided soldiers, you know, who took a wrong turn and were led by the nose by evil people. Promised a lot of stuff, maybe drugged or controlled by chemicals or nanomachines or whatever. All the foot soldiers, they can just die, right? They're not important. But the bad guy, right? The evil person, the demon, right? Once you're faced with the demon, then suddenly you don't want to kill the demon, right? Oh no, I don't want to. It's not worth it. Oh, don't do it. You're gonna turn into... He's not worth it. You're better than that. It's such bullshit, right? And why don't they want us to kill the bad guy? Well, you know, the demons, the monetary demons, they pay for most of the movies. But, you know, the bad guy ends up dying anyway. It's because the hero is gonna turn around and drop his sword or his gun and walk away. And be all righteous and shit. And then the bad guy, he pulls a trick. He has like a gun somewhere, or he pushes a final button or something. And then in slow motion, the hero turns around and shoots the bad guy anyway. In some kind of combination. You know, but the point is, just kill the fucking bad guy. In all those movies, the hero and the bad guy always meet in the beginning. And the movie wouldn't be there if the hero would just kill the bad guy to begin with, you know. You already know who the bad guy is. You always know who the bad guy is. And the hero knows it, and everybody knows it. So just kill them. Like, right when you first meet them, pull out the gun and shoot them in the head. You know, and then there's no movie. Then all the foot soldiers don't have to die, you know? And there will be no beautiful action sequences. There will just be a dead bad guy and a peaceful day. You know, nice, peaceful day. And that is what we want. There might have to be like the third rule, or I don't want to call it rules or commandments. Maybe laws. The 3 laws of robotics, no. The third, maybe just the third. The third should be a nice, peaceful day. Yeah. So you have, the first is all knowledge is free. The second is lovingly share all abundance. And the third is a nice, peaceful day. And I don't know how you could possibly put war into that. Like, how are you gonna create a banking system if you have those 3? If you really have to live by those 3, you know, the word love is in there. If you have to live by love, then you cannot hate, right? So the Arbiter would be the one who lives by those rules and sets an example and always goes the extra mile if somebody doesn't have the volition or the experience or the knowledge or the power or the excess spirit to do it. The Arbiter will do it. And then they will test and try a lot of people who wants to be arbiters, and maybe there's gonna be some kind of test or something. Maybe there's gonna be a public graduation of the arbiters, you know. Every day at night you gather at the forum and you discuss maybe something. Maybe some projects or some stuff that's up in the community, and then maybe there's gonna be an arbiter graduation. Or maybe not, you know. Depends what happens that day. But the main thing is, we cannot have any psychopaths, guys. We cannot have any psychopaths. That is the path to the dark side. We're going to have only people with a high empathy in those positions. We're able to see everything from a distance, zooming out all the time, and share. And there will be they won't have any superior position, they won't have any rights to live in a special place and have a gathering place nobody else can see and stuff. No. They will just be like beacons of goodness for the people to follow. And where do we go in our spaceship? Well, I guess we just punch it, right? Set a course for a star system and engage, right? Engage. See what happens. Bring our abundance out there. But the question is, how do we remove all the evil people first? Can they really disappear just by us not believing in them anymore? Like, if everybody woke up tomorrow and nobody believed in the hierarchy or the monetary structure or anything, nobody did what any of the so-called leaders said, and all the police just threw down their weapons and joined the people. and everybody just worked together on the same common goal. Then the 10,000 that was left, all the evil people at the top of the pyramid, they would just sit and all the money they had would be worth nothing because they couldn't buy anything with it. I guess they could buy stuff from each other, but like the warehouse where they have all their stuff, we're just gonna come and take it. And the bodyguards they have, they're gonna be with us because they're not the rich ones. The guards and everything, they're not rich. And then all the Rothschilds, they're gonna come out of the dungeons, right? And then they're gonna have like a kind of a special iPad, and then they're gonna activate all their defenses, and all these miniguns and robots and killbots are gonna power up and aim at the people, and then everything is gonna power down, because we cut the power to their building, the people cut the power. Then they're gonna activate their own backup generator, and everything's gonna power back up. And then they're gonna aim at us, but then suddenly all the guns are gonna be aimed at the Rothschilds, because our hackers, all the white hats and the black hats and the red hats and the gray hats, they've been hacking their guns, right? So all the killbots and miniguns are gonna be turned on the Rothschilds, and then they are gonna be hunted by their own sick machines, and that's how that adventure is gonna end, for the Rothschilds. So the money that they have, if we don't have any interest in that money, if we don't have any interest in Rothschild's $600 trillion, then it's not going to be worth anything, right? So it is just a question of changing our mind to ascending to another spiritual level, for everybody to agree on the same process. I guess maybe the internet is our best way. That is why you have to protect the internet at all costs against all the crazy laws that the globalist wants to put in there. You have to defend it. It must remain pure and free. Human knowledge belongs to the world, guys. All knowledge is free. That's the first. Lovingly share all abundance. And the third is a nice, peaceful day. And all the people are gonna have a great exodus from the cities. And all the truckers are gonna ride around and take all the materials and distribute them. And the people are gonna come with all the stuff they can carry in all their cars. And settle, They're gonna put all their belongings in all the different sections, and you're gonna see that it's gonna fill up so fast. And people are gonna be willing to do much more than is necessary. Because there's gonna be a sense of accomplishment. It's gonna be a direction, Imagine a beggar sitting on the street right now with her child, and they're like hungry and dirty, and they have nothing to live for, it seems, right? And suddenly they can just walk into this community, and they can have an apple, right? And a steak, and a glass of cider, and then life just returns to them. And they pick up a hammer, right, and start building because they can see it. Or maybe they sleep for 4 days in some kind of bed because they're so tired. Fair enough. But people, they really want to contribute. people are not gonna lie around all day complaining, because there's gonna be a definite purpose and a definite goal with whatever they do. And they're gonna be inspired by all the rest of them around them who just do because they're human, because they have bodies and they cannot help themselves. Humans want to do good things. Human wants to help each other. We don't want to kill each other. That's something the banksters and the pyramid people figured out. If they could get us to kill each other, then they would inherit the earth. But you know, it's not gonna work. They're gonna choke on it. On the isolation and the misery and the chain fences and the robots and the killbots and the guards and the contracts and the dungeons and the separation and their isolation, right? They think they can hide underground and be all secretive, and it's just not gonna work. It's like cutting yourself out of the body. It's like a cancer cell destroying the entire body and cutting itself loose and then lying on the floor rattling around. It's just not gonna work. I really wish we could get there, guys. Sooner rather than later. Because they are warming up the tanks, guys. They are buying the bullets. And, you know, freedom is something we're gonna have to fight for. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So, I'm just gonna say, see you out there, guys. See you in space. And good luck to everyone. And this is Mike, signing out.